Welcome back. One final point before we go tonight. What the mainstream media won't tell you about the news this week. These are huge stories, massive developments and ongoing stories, or underreported news that you deserve to know. Why? Why doesn't the mainstream media want you to know about this? This is what the mainstream media won't tell you about the news this week. David Daleiden, the man who exposed Planned Parenthood's brutal baby body parts chop shop, he was cleared of 14 out of 15 felony charges by a judge in California, yet the mainstream media ignored that. Hillary Clinton called the Republicans the party of death. This from the same woman who abandoned 4 Americans to their death in Benghazi and then lied about it, from the same woman who condemned Donald Trump for violent, extreme rhetoric. Yet the mainstream media, they ignored that. The radical left-wing progressive activist turned would-be assassin targeted Republicans at the congressional baseball practice because they were Republicans, hated Trump, ranted on Facebook about the GOP, and carried a hit list of 6 GOP congressmen. Yet the mainstream media ignored that. If the Capitol Hill police hadn't been at the baseball field to protect Congressman Steve Scalise, the shooting would have been a massacre because it was a gun-free zone. Yet the mainstream media ignored that. Congresswoman-elect from Georgia's 6th District, Karen Handel, she's pro-life. She campaigned on pro-life issues. Democrat Jon Ossoff outspent Handel $23 million to $6 million, and Handel still won. If that election was the referendum on Trump liberals painted it to be, then Trump's got a pro-life conservative mandate. Yet the mainstream media ignored that. Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff says the way that President Obama handled Russia's meddling in our election after Obama was notified about it was a big mistake. Mainstream media is ignoring that. Schiff says reports that Obama's Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, told former FBI Director James Comey to call the investigation into Hillary's email a matter instead of an investigation makes Schiff feel queasy. The mainstream media ignored that. Bernie Sanders' wife, Jane Sanders, she's under FBI investigation for a potentially massively fraudulent bank loan. The mainstream media couldn't care less. Senator Bernie Sanders himself might be under FBI investigation too for potentially pressuring the big bank to approve the loan. Big banks, Bernie Sanders, you'd think the mainstream media would be interested, but nope. This FBI investigation reportedly began while Obama was president, a Democrat. Even though both Democratic candidates for president were under federal investigation during the election, the mainstream media ignored that. In Seattle, minimum wage was jacked up from $11 an hour to $13 an hour, and as a result, an analysis found that low-income workers actually earned $125 a month less than what they did when they were paid less because employers were forced to cut their jobs and cut their hours. The mainstream media won't even touch that. Feminists in their feminist magazine are calling for more white abortions to fight white supremacy. Nobody on the left or in the mainstream media is paying attention to that. It's disgusting racism. Hillary Clinton accepted $1 million from Qatar to the Clinton Foundation and conveniently forgot to report that money to the State Department, you know, as she was legally required to do. Imagine if Trump did something like that. The mainstream media doesn't care to report it to you, so we will. And that's my final point tonight. You can reach me on Twitter at Liz_Wheeler. If you liked the show, please send me an email at oann.com/contact. In the meantime, catch us here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, and until then, have a good night.